seconds. I just wanted to wait to do that until we got through the prayers and meditation and everything, because in case someone actually wants to watch it, then I probably don't want to sit through that. Okay. Okay, so Lam Rim, right? This is this is probably a good place to start with some history very, very briefly. So Buddhism started in India by the Buddha roughly 500 BC, spreads throughout, starting with Sri Lanka. First of all, just the Indian subcontinent itself, from Sri Lanka to China, from China east, not east, sorry, yeah, east, and I guess Vietnam. Anyway, from China to Vietnam, Japan, Korea, and then of course from Sri Lanka also separately to Thailand, Cambodia, Laos. So you have these different traditions, and the Tibetans, the Himalaya regions, they got a separate dissemination of the Buddhist teachings. So it's not like through Sri Lanka, but from India itself, mostly from northern India. And it was at a time when Buddhism had already developed a lot in India, right? So there was a lot of teachings that went into Tibet that didn't necessarily go to other countries. Anyway, come to the 7th century, 600s. So King Songtsen Gampo, Emperor Songtsen Gampo. So try to remember that name. Okay, King Songtsen Gampo. His years are roughly 613 to 650. Some have him go up to 699. It just depends on the history, right? There's a range of ages given for his birth and death years. But so he was born around 613, 7th century, right? He decides to send emissaries or his ministers to go to India to learn culture, language, and to create essentially a new Tibetan script, right? Tibetans, of course, had their own language, spoken language, but they didn't have a script. Now, this is also contested. It seems as though probably the best historical evidence shows that there was some writing in Tibet before the script by Tamisamota, but it wasn't widespread and it didn't last, right? It didn't continue on. So anyway, for some reason, that one wasn't wasn't good enough, or for some reason this king decided they needed a new script, and so he had his 16 ministers go to India to study with Indian masters and learn their culture, their religion, their philosophy, I should say, and the scripts, the languages, right? Many scripts were there in India at the time, and there still are, of course, today. And so out of all of them, only one survived, right? Just the trials and tribulations of making that trek through the mountains and into the Indian subcontinent, where it was just such a different environment from Tibet. Of course, extremely hot. Of course, there are many diseases that Tibetans' bodies weren't, ready to fight off. And then there are just things like thieves and, bandits on the highway, on the roads. Like this is before what do they call it, the Leviathan state, or before there were great police forces everywhere. Then this is just how it was when you had to travel. Oh, it looks like Geshima's made it. So I'll turn it over. Hello, Geshima. Good morning. Good evening.
Good morning. I'm sorry. I think you go ahead.
No. That's fine. I was just trying to introduce the Lamrim. So, but you can. We did the prayers already. A little meditation already. So I was just starting an introduction. So why don't you take it from here?
Okay. I just noticed the time switch.
Right. I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
No, that's okay. All right. So So you did the introduction and meditation already, right? I mean, what do you call it? Do you do some meditation?
We did some prayers and meditation already. Yep.
Okay. So where are you? Are you introducing the Lamrim itself or
Yeah,
the
I was just trying to
author?
talk about
Okay.
kind of Tisha. I mean, I didn't know what you wanted to say, so I was just talking about Lamrim, just to say what is Lamrim, kind of. That was where I was going with
Okay.
the history of Buddhism in Tibet, but no need to
I
focus
see.
too much on that,
Right,
honestly.
right, 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 right. Oh, okay, okay, okay. All right. All right. So thank you so much. So sorry that I joined a little late, but since we are here now, that's good. And yeah, so I think it's very, very important and very unfortunate that we got the, chances to discuss a little bit about Lamrim. So as maybe whenever I explain what does it mean by Lamrim, and you're offering a little, I mean, a Lamrim class on the Wednesday meditation too, right?
Yeah, Tuesday. Yep.
Tuesday, right? Okay, so let's think about the title itself, and then I will go a little bit about the background of the author, the Lamrim text, the author of the Lamrim, and then the root text with the commentary. The Lamrim is a commentary of the Master Atisha's, the Lamb to the Path of Enlightenment, Lamb to the Path of Enlightenment. So when you say Lamrim, Lam means path, right? And Rim means step or step by step. So how it's actually in a way, it's Lamrim, it's in a way, it's kind of a roadmap. It's like a map toward, enlightenment. So what does it mean by enlightenment? And I'm pretty sure most of you have idea about what does that mean. This the Lamrim. So for example, if you want to go one place to the another, you need the roadmap. Same thing, if you want to go from samsara to nirvana or to enlightenment, so you need a path, you need a kind of a map. How can you really follow? So here, it's not really the external thing. It means like internally, the mind and the body and the speech, how you can transform them from defiled minds to undefiled or purified mind. And you cannot really watch, as the Buddha say, Buddha cannot wash our stain, and Buddha cannot what is that? In Tibetan, you said so the Buddha said there's a verses that one verse that Buddha said, meaning Buddha cannot wash the stain or the defilement of the human being, the sentient being, his by water, by water, cannot wash. And then the suffering of the sentient being. Buddha cannot remove the suffering of the sentient being by his hand, right? So then how can he help? How can he or she? Because Buddha could be, all enlightened beings are Buddha. Okay. So then how can Buddha can help us? How can the Buddha can help us to lead toward, complete peace and long lasting happiness or the everlasting happiness? Right? Hello? Hello? Oh, okay. Sorry. The internet just, dropped and it reconnect again. Okay. Impermanent. So it's a very good lesson to learn about impermanence, because Lamrim actually emphasized a lot about, contemplating impermanence, uncertainty of the life, uncertainty of the death, aging, death. I mean, coming to like a samsara, taking rebirth in samsara, and then like a burning into rebirth into samsara, and then and aging, sickness, and death. These are inevitable. You cannot avoid. And then how can you really face this? And you need to prepare. If something is reality, you have to prepare to accept it. Not freak out about okay, someone is dying, someone is getting older, old age, sickness. It's a part of our life. And you need to understand. When you say about meditate on impermanence, or meditate on the person's human rebirth, these are all part of the Lamrim text, right? So earlier I was saying, the verse that Buddha said, Buddha cannot wash the stain or the defilement of sentient being by water. And then Buddha cannot remove the, the suffering of sentient being by his hand. Then how can he help? How can he really help us to remove this, this suffering and then the cause of suffering? Here, the causes of suffering need to be washed, meaning clean. And then the suffering need to be removed, right? So how can he remove, how can help Buddha, how can Buddha and Bodhisattva help for the sentient being to remove their defilement or the mental dirt? And another word we usually use, affliction. It's kind of sometimes, what does it mean by that? I think its main thing is all the negativities that within our mind need to be removed, need to be washed, need to be, eliminated. And Buddha say, and then Buddha's realization cannot transform to the innocent beings. So how can we can that? And then Buddha can show us the path. This is the fourth one, the fourth line. He can lead us to the perfection or the more long-lasting happiness, the state of the happiness. Happiness means a state of mind, okay? And also peace of mind, the nirvana, in the technical word we use, nirvana, meaning the cessation of the suffering and the causes of suffering. It's also a state of mind. So Buddha can show us the path to obtain these two goals, the two main goal, nirvana or the complete peace, and then long-lasting happiness. And that can be done by showing the right path. So Lamrim means it's the path that, working toward the perfection or working toward, happiness and peace. So this is what it means, Lamrim, Lamrim. And the Lam, the path need to be path of, like a map of mind. It's a real kind of road or the map of a mind. And so you might think, what does that mean, map of mind? So then, Atisha, okay, let me, can we share the text? But it can, who is hosting?
Wait, do you want to share your screen? From your
Yeah, maybe okay, yeah. Yeah,
so what happens
because
if you click share screen? Does it say you can do it?
can I
You should be able to, I think.
because someone has to be a host. I'm not the host, so I don't.
Well, what
I'm not
happens when
sure,
you click
but
it? Just try to click it.
share. Okay, let's see. Sharing. Okay, allow. I have a.
There you go. Yeah, it works.
Oops.
Okay. Yep.
You
Yeah,
got my
it said so
screen,
anyone
right?
can share their screen. So you're able to share. You can see it.
Oh, okay. anyone can share. Can you see something on the screen? Any text?
Yes, it's there. It's kind of small, but
Okay.
you can see it. The letters are small. I mean, yeah.
Okay, it's small. Interesting. I don't know how can I make it big, but you can see some text there, right?
Yes, yes. Okay, it's fine.
What happened to now? I can't really see the whole. Some of the technical thing. Okay.
Well, we have it. We have it also. If you want us to do the share from here,
All right.
'cause your screen went black. It turned black.
Oh, my screen went black.
Yeah, the share that you're doing is now just black.
Okay, let me stop and then share again.
Okay. Oh, now we
So
see
now
it
you
again.
can see.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think I'll just leave it there because if I just move here and there, it goes kind of, and it's taking a lot of time too. All right. So in the volume number 1, the outline, if you look at the outline, it gives some an idea what this, what the text talk about. So it's very important to know the biography of Lama Atisha, Master Atisha, who was the great boy, like who was the person who actually brought, the great mind training, like a system to Tibet, and through mind training, meaning like a how can you really train our mind by using a very specific kind of guideline, such as Lamrim, the lamp to the path of enlightenment. And so the one verse that I've shared about what Buddha say, Buddha cannot remove, Buddha cannot wash, but Buddha cannot transport his realization to a sentient being, but he can show us the path that how he walked, how he really went from defiled mind, afflicted person to perfection, perfect person, become awakened, become a fully like enlightened person, remove all the mental, dirt by realizing the reality, by applying the right antidote, by applying the right path. And then the right path, if you just summarize, renunciation, bodhicitta, and wisdom realize the emptiness, these three. But then what does it mean by renunciation? These are all, you need to go all one by one. And sometimes, the past master biographies are great instruction, especially like Master Atisha. So Atisha was invited, Master Atisha was invited to Tibet. I think I'll just give some, main point. If you go to the text, it has a really, really, really inspiring, here at the chapter where you say the chapter 1 is Atisha, right? Page number 5, Master Atisha. So maybe the background, who was the Master Atisha? And he was, I think, the second son. He was born in the royal family, like a prince, and usually known as from Bengal, West Bengal, northeast, eastern part of India, or presently maybe in Bangladesh, I think. But yeah, he was born in this, like as a prince, and he had two brothers, one older brothers and one younger brothers, and then the middle one who was the Masatisha. And from very young age, he was very, very, very well being disciplined, and someone who really care others, some kind of a strong, imprints, okay, from previous life. And So, there is a biography, but I just, okay, where here it's showing the greatness of the teaching author to establish that it is of noble origin, meaning the Lamrim is very authentic teachings. Meaning, what does it mean by authentic teaching? Noble origin, meaning I think it's authentic teaching. It has the lineage is unbroken. It came from the Buddha to the old and the Linda Masters, and then to Master Atisha, and then until now. Now is His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, who is teaching at Lamrim so many times, right? So it's transmitted from generation to generation, showing the greatnesses of the teaching author to establish that it is noble origin. So here, this author, I think the author is referring to Master Atisha, because there's one line in the Lamrim said, it's what the Lamrim, the great treatise on the stages of the path of enlightenment, which was authored by Lama Tsongkhapa. Lama Tsongkhapa is known as the founder of a Gelugpa tradition in Tibetan Buddhism, and it's also known as the Buddha in the land of snow, who was the great, bodhisattvas, or maybe enlightened. It's an emanation of, it's known as the emanation of Arya Manjushri, okay, Lama Tsongkhapa. So Lamrim Chimmo, the great treatise on the stage of the path of enlightenment, is written by Lama Tsongkhapa. It's as a commentary of the Lamp the Lamp of Path to Enlightenment by Lama Atisha, or the Master Atisha. So, but just checking at the outline, showing the greatnesses of the teaching author. Greatness meaning the richness of the teaching. It's like more like a pith instruction. How you really can move, toward the perfection, toward the right, toward the the long-term goal that we are all seeking. Long-term goal. Our long-term goal is to get most happier person. Person here referred to not really just human being. So when someone getting fully enlightened, completely purify our mind, we are becoming like a completely free, perfect. Okay, so if you train our mind really well, and then we can control our mind, and the anger and attachment, aversion, these have no room to fight with us. Right now, as a sentient being, we have also all these problems are there, but we can tackle through just knowing the knowing the nature of the mind, the nature of the disturbing mind, and then applying the right view, or applying the right uh, understanding the true nature, and then apply the antidote to remove it, right? So what's that? The outline say that showing the greatness of the teaching author to establish that it is of noble origin, meaning it's a true teaching. It's not really kind of a dogmatism thing. It's not about kind of just a tell or the story. It's a real, it's like a Master Atisha and Lama Tsongkhapa who follow the path, and then they share their experience with us, with our, like the same as Buddha. All right. So how he took reborn in an excellent lineage, pure lineage. I don't think it's that the lineage. Of course, yeah, he was born as a prince, as a that's also like a king, like a prince, meaning the king lineage. But it doesn't have any kind of connotation of what do you call it. You have heard the caste system in society. He was born as a prince, which in society considered to be like a higher status. I don't know, like a, what do you call it? Who in the family, the king family, you in ordinary sense, people respect, right? Interestingly, but maybe there's a kind of some what do you call it? Advantage taking as a taking reborn as a prince, because in this society acceptance get respect get easily, acceptance gets easily, and because of that, then who was from very young age a very compassionate person, and then he can learn very quickly, and then he can practice very easily, and then he wanted to share his knowledge, his experience to others, and then usually we have to have kind of space where you can share, where you can teach. So if there is a purpose to reborn as a prince, a purpose meaning to serve others better, to serve most like widely, to serve so many people. And maybe that's the one, and that this is also, it could have some matter of, because he was born as a prince, same as Buddha Shakyamuni. Buddha Shakyamuni time in India, and there's a like a family lineage called Shaka clan. It considered to be like a superior kind of a like a family lineage, and because of that, Buddha was born into Shaka family's lineage too. So there is, when you come to, if you're born in that, in a family lineage, and if you have a greater opportunity and greater like easier to serve people, serve sentient being, to free them from suffering and the causes of suffering, then they take a ribbon into that kind of family, right? How he took ribbon in an excellent lineage. The excellent lineage, it could refer to Buddha nature too. Buddha nature meaning the Buddha nature meaning the seed of perfection. We all have. Okay. But then why it's a excellent lineage here for Master Atisha particularly, if all sentient beings have the Buddha nature. And I guess it, when you say excellent lineage, I guess it's referring to, because he was born as a prince. And how open that basis, yeah, okay, he gained good qualities. So I think it's a pretty good, if the family, when the family are very loyal to family, whose parents are well behaved, generous, compassionate, loving, caring, and then the children naturally adapt that, like a nature, right? So his parents were well behaved, well respected in the society, and then he was also, become like a, this it just adopt really, kind of a, what do you call it? Uh, it's naturally, it's influence. The parents' behaviors influence to the children. So his parents were well behaved, well respected people as a queen, as a king and queen. So because of that, that's one thing. Uh, Let me see how many those texts. Okay, these are. All right. Okay, so I will give you a little bit his childhood. I read in details, but I can't really summarize right now. But he was really, 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 like a well respected person from very young age. And from very young age, he was having a lot of great Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in vision, and he can learn, like the scripture and the practice very easily. These are his biographies say, and he became a monk at the age of 29. Master Atisha, okay, I'm talking about the Master Atisha. At the age of 29, even before he was well, he studied with many, many, many great teachers, scholars. As a prince, usually they have the you know advantages of having good teachers and good mentors and good example, that lead them to right life. And at the age of 29, he became a monk. He was ordained as a fully ordained monk. And So he studied in many. I think mainly. I think he was studying in India, ancient India. Those time, there were a few great learning center. Nalanda was one. Ancient Nalanda University was one, and then another one is Dikamalishila. I think it's Eastern India. I'm not sure which part of India, but it's in India. Udantapuri, Dikamalashila. I think George, like Master Atisha is from the Dikamalashila, like a scholars or the practitioner. And then he taught in Nalanda. He was in Nalanda, Nalanda University, which is in Bihar in northern India. And then, okay, those time in Tibet, the Buddhism is already flourished in Tibet. Buddhism started to go to Tibet late 7th century and early 8th centuries, okay? So, and there were so many translation was taking place, the Tibetan Dharma king, known as Tizon Dechen, Tirabachin, and yeah, Sonzen Gampo time is start. There were three main, Tibetan Dharma king who put a lot of effort to bring Buddhist teaching to Tibet. And the second and the third one did a lot of work. And what they did was they sent young Tibetan, smart, very intelligent young boys to India, to Nalanda University in Bihar, in northern India, to study Sanskrit language, and then the Buddhist philosophy, astrology, medicine, all they are like a 5, 10 kind of you call like a Rigne. Rigne means it's a field of learning. So they study in India, they learn the in their language, and then they go back to Tibet and translating the whole Buddha's teaching and the commentaries the commentaries which was written by many of the Nalanda masters. So it was already Tibet, the Buddhist teachings already went to Tibet at that time. And then Tibetan need to invite Master Atisha for some special reason. Because there were some, like a 8th century, starting from 8th century, and then there's a lot of translation taking place, and there were a lot of, what you call it, it's a little ups and downs are also happening because of Buddhism wasn't a state religion at that time in Tibet. Earlier they did have like a shamanism, another tradition, another. It's a Have you heard shamanism? I guess it's shamanism. Bon is more like a shamanism sort of a religion. It's more like a nature worshiper. They call also it's a nature worshiper. I guess. Yeah. So indigenous religion, they do have one indigenous religion, which is, I guess, it's a good things there too. But somehow, when you know, some new kind of things of knowledge are coming, if they are not prepared to receive it, I guess there's some resistance going on there too. There's some resistance were there too. But that was, I guess, when Master Atisha did, why they have the Tibetan have to invite Master Atisha to Tibet. There are many. There are a few important reasons. There was some ups and down or some decline, some confusion was there happening as well. So because of that, they need to invite the Master Atisha. And how the Tibetan invite him to Tibet, how the Tibetan, how the Tibetan plan to invite him from Nalanda University in India to Tibet. Those time, it was in the 11th century. Buddhism was starting declining in India. And then he was the top, scholar, top master in Nalanda University in India. And so they don't want him to, travel different places because they need him. So because of that, it's not easy to meet him and invite him to Tibet to help the Tibetan to sorted out a few things, especially the mind training, writing that, especially about this mind training system, meaning Lamrim. So the Tibetan, the three Dharma king earlier, the 7th, 8th centuries, and then even during 11th centuries, the lineage of those Dharma king, and the uncle and the nephew, they were there. It's known as Lama Yishe and Changchuhe. Yishe Changchuhe, okay? So the king, because there's some declining happening for the Buddhism, and he don't want to decline Buddhism. He really needs someone help to revive and standardize the Buddhist teaching into Tibet. And then he heard that, Master Atisha, who is in India, that you need to invite to Tibet to help. And those days, not easy to travel from, Tibet. Where is Tibet? It's this kind of a Shangri-La, somewhere in really, really high mountain, very harsh climate, cold, snow. But India is very low, where it's really hot. And then on top of that, transportation was not in place like these days. They have to cross, they have to walk like months and months. You have to cross the valleys, rivers, they cross the rivers. And then there's so many, like danger are there too. But anyway, they put they put a risk in their life. And the king tried to come, send to some Tibetan to Nalanda to invite Atisha. And I think he himself was trying to come, I guess. And then what happened was on the way, another evil sort of king. Those time, these are there are many small kingdoms are there, like Tibet, Nepal, India also. So there's many small kingdoms are there. So somewhere in between Tibet and Nepal, one like evil is not that good word, but there was one not good, not compassionate king, someone who is not that, little cruel king. So what he did was he captured the uncle of the king of Tibet and put in jail. He didn't want to go, So then his nephew, I think Changzhu, yeah, sorry, Lama Yishe and Changzhu. Okay, you need to know the name of these two. Yishe Changzhu, Changzhu Yishe. Okay, and I think the Yishe is the nephew, and then the Changzhu is the the uncle, who's the main king. Those time, it's actually the upper part of Tibet, more like in the central Tibet, known as the central Tibet these days, because Tibet is quite huge, geographically. There are like three main provinces known as Kham, Amdo, and Uyghur. So Uyghur is the central Tibet. So this king is from the central Tibet, and he was crossing to from Tibet to, I think, through Nepal, but someone, a king, captured him and put into prison because he was, tried to come to India to invite Master Atisha to Tibet to help establish, the authentic teaching, not really much kind of confusing thing. So then what happened was his nephew came to know that his uncle was captured by this king and imprisoned. So then he tried to go to, bring him out from the jail, from the prison. But then the king asked him, okay, bring, I don't know, huge amount of gold. Those time, the gold, silvers are kind of business thing, I think. So this king who captured him and put him into prison, asking his nephew to give, I don't know, huge amount of gold. And if you get this gold to me, then I will, release your uncle from the prison. Super sad, right? So then he was searching everywhere in Tibet, collecting, gold. And I don't know how many kgs or what, the quite huge amount of gold that this king asked him to bring. It's a like a, what do you call it? But what is that? These days it's known as like it's crafty king, I think. But let's say the crafty king. It's without any reason. There's asking gift to greedy, right? The greedy king. Without any reason, asking this Tibetan king to give me huge amount of gold, and he captured him. His uncle captured and put it in prison. There's no reason. There's no reason, and just like abusing them. And then his and asking his nephew to bring huge like a amount of gold. I think it's what do you call these days? People capture people, people capture it and put in prison, and then they pay money or something and to release from the from the prison.
It's called a ransom,
In
Gishima.
India, it's known as
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, ransom.
Corruption,
But
pay for
okay.
Yeah.
Pay for no reason. This is the thing, this property king. So then his nephew went everywhere to search, like gold, and he got the amount that the king asked to bring that gold, and then he went back to the evil king, and then they say then his uncle who is in prison heard that his nephew was trying to do that, and then he went with the gold to the king, and then asking that release his uncle from the prison, and he's ready to offer whatever the amount of gold that he have collected. And then his uncle, who is in the prison, he told him somehow he had got the chances to talk to him before offering the gold to before giving the whole gold to the evil king. And then his uncle said, okay, my main, purpose, my goal, my long-term goal is inviting Master Atisha to Tibet to help us to, revive or establish the true teaching of the Buddha. So I am old. I think he was somewhere in 70s or 80s. I'm old. I don't have much time left. And so my main, aim is to invite Master Atisha to Tibet. So you have done great job to collecting this, gold, and you want me to release from take out from the prison, but I don't have much time to left. I will die anyway, and my main goal is like inviting Lama Atisha to Tibet. So don't use this gold to release me from the prison. You use this gold, go to India, and invite Master Atisha. I don't mind. I don't mind if I die in prison. This is what he told. And so his nephew have to accept what his uncle asking him to do. So then he tried to send his some of his ministers. I think he didn't come, but his minister go to India with that goal to offer this goal to the India and to invite. And then the uncle who was in prison, actually he died in prison. He really died. He gave his life for the Buddha Dharma. He died in prison. And then his nephew came to India, and then how much hardship they have to put. Oh my gosh. If when you read from the beginning, the story is very moving. And they came to India, and then so there was a translator, Tibetan by the name of Solo Sawa, was a great translator, who was in India before and studied Sanskrit language and translate many of the Buddha was teaching already in Tibetan language. And he was still in India, in Nalanda area, Nalanda University at that time. And so few of the Tibetan who the king, the nephew, nephew, send him to send them to India to invite Atisha with a goal. So they arrive in India, in slept in Nalinda and Bodh Gaya area in Bihar area. They arrived there, and they were just walking around, try to figure out who may be the Master Atisha, because there were so many scholars and monks that were there. They do the prayer, meditation together. They do have teaching going happening together, but you can't really openly ask that we are coming from Tibet. I know if you tell openly, so we are here from Tibet to invite Master Atisha to Tibet. So sorry, Master Atisha to Tibet. Maybe the Indian won't let them go to see him, or let them, let him go. So they have to be really keep it secret how to do. And then they went to Naksulotsawa to. Oh no, Naksulotsawa, the Naksulotsawa, the great translator Naksulotsawa, he was in Tibet at that time. And the nephew, the king who died in prison, his nephew took the role to invite Lama Atisha, but he need help, someone who knows how to get to India. So Naksulotsawa was who was already been to India, and he was in Tibet at that time. And then his nephew asked him, he went, usually the king do not really prostrate it to the, maybe the monks or the others, but he went to Naksulotsawa and make a prostration and asking him to help to go to India to invite Master Atisha. So Naksulotsawa is in Tibet, and then the Naksulotsawa led this king to come to India. Yes. And and then when they arrived in India, and it was not easy for them to meet Atisha, but somehow, Master Atisha and the Tibetan, they have special kind of connection with Aryatara. You know Aryatara? So Aryatara is Tara is known as Buddha or the Bodhisattvas in female form. It's known as Aryatara, okay? And another way of understanding Aryatara is a deity that it appears as a deity forms all the Buddha's activities. Buddha's body, speech, mind, and activities. Activities, okay? So Tili, in Tibetan you call it Tiligila. Tiligila means it's a special deities to the activities. Activities meaning motivated with the compassion, then when we receive teaching and the planting some, like a virtuous, a seed to our mind stream, and then the people becoming more warm-hearted, more compassionate person, more understanding person. That means that you are receiving blessing from the, from the deities or the teachers. So that's why it's called activities, meaning, any virtuous, like action we have within our mind. These are all the virtue. These are all the activities of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. It's considered to be it's considered to be the activities of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Anyway, so where were I? I'm talking about Aryatara. So the Tibetan team led by Naksulotsawa, who was already arrived in India, in Bihar or in Nalanda, and then they tried to find who maybe the Atisha would be, because they don't know. And it took like a long time for them to, just knowing who maybe the Master Atisha, and how can they approach to him to invite to Tibet. And then they often get some kind of message through different form, different person, or sometimes lady, sometimes some others, sometimes young monks, and asking, who are you, where are you? And then they say, we are Tibetan. Where you are, why you are here? We are here to try to invite Lama Atisha. And then they will say, oh, you don't know how to keep your secret. So, Aryatara often appear in different forms and guiding them in a way but maybe they were not aware that Aryatara is really helping them. Sometimes they don't. But anyway, so this there was a lot of this instant. What was the story have a lot of these are there. But at the end, they met Lama Atisha and they make a request to Atisha to come to Tibet. And then that time, I think Atisha was already in 70s, his age. It's in 70s. It's already quite old. And when they made the request, and then they told the whole story about there's some declining happening about the Buddhism, Buddha Dharma in Tibet, and then the Tibetan king who put effort to go to India to invite Lama Atisha, but because of the evil king, he died in prison, and then his wish was to invite Lama Atisha to Tibet, and his nephew took the role to make the team to go to India to invite him. And when they told the whole story about the Tibetan king who have lost his life in prison because of wish to invite him, and he was very moved about their devotion and the Tibetan, and he said, "Well, I'm already like in 70s. It's already old, and making the journey from India to Tibet will be not easy because it's really far out, and the climate will be different. I mean, so I'm not, he didn't accept straight away. And he said, if I do not really go, since I have taken the Bodhisattva vows and who have committed, but taking Bodhisattva vows means who have committed to fulfill whoever, requests to teach or help. So you have to try. You have to, you have to sort it out. You have to really need to help those who are really in need. And if I do not listen, I'm actually breaking my Bodhisattva vows. This is what he said. But I will, consult with Aryatara. And then Aryatara, and Matsatisha, then he checked with that, and consult, meaning ask Aryatara what should he do, whether he should go to Tibet or not. There's more details. I'm just making the summary sort of. And should I go to Tibet or not? And then Aryatara said, it's good, if you go to Tibet, you will benefit a lot for the beings, sentient beings, and the Buddha Dharma. But maybe your lifespan will be shrinking a bit. I think 10 or 20. Do you remember, 20 years shrink, right?
I think 17.
17 or 20, I can't remember. 10, maybe 10. I was reading the biography, but I forgot. But anyway, so then Aryatara said, yeah, if you go to Tibet, it definitely will greatly benefit for the Buddha Dharma, for the sentient beings, but your lifespan will be shrink a little bit, shrink. And then he said, okay, since I'm already old, older, but if I will be service for the sentient being and then the Buddha Dharma, I will go. And if I do not really go, I'm really, breaking my vows as well. Because he said it's looked like the Tibetan king who died in prison, he must be bodhisattvas. He noticed that he was, I think, with bodhisattvas. And because, he's really ready to give up his life for the benefit of others. Because he said, I'm already old, I don't have much time left, and I don't mind to die in prison. But if you can fulfill what if you can, if his nephew can fulfill his wish, then he will be happy. So that's what he said. Okay, so then they were able to invite Mataitisha to Tibet. And then once he arrived in Tibet, and then his nephew, who was the king at that time in Tibet, and he requested Atisha, Master Atisha, saying, please, what kind of teaching do you need? And then Tibetan king, he said, please give the teaching that's something that benefit for all, meaning Chila Pemba. Chila mean it's something that have benefit for in general, the general audiences. I think so, right? Can you translate that like that way? Chila Pemba. Chila Pemba Chuji Nangro Nangsuro.
Sure, or like something that's universally applicable. But yeah, that's a fine.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, you can say it that way. That's fine.
Yeah, something that universally beneficial. So please give teaching that something that, generally, or, all walks of life, people can understand or apply the teaching. So this is what he requests. And on his request, Martha Atisha composed the text, the path, lamp of the path to enlightenment. So yeah, the history said he, composed this text in Tibet. So the lamp of the path to enlightenment. And then later, Lama Tsongkhapa wrote many commentaries. There are 18 different, commentaries of the teaching, the great treatise of the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment, the middle, and then the shorter version. And yeah, there are 18 different, commentaries that are written many different, teachers. And I think His Holiness the Dalai Lama gives this series of the teachings in the Great Learning Center in India, I think from 2013 to 2016, at the request of His Holiness Senior Teacher's Reincarnation, Kapja Rinpoche. The Rinpoche requested His Holiness to give this whole, series of the Lamrim teaching. And I think this teaching is available online, probably. I didn't really check. So maybe if you have time, it would be good to listen some of this. Probably they are online, the video. I'm not sure. Do you know, Daniela? I didn't pay attention if
Yes,
they.
yes, they should be on. Yes, they're online. Yes.
It must be online, yes.
Yeah.
Because His Holiness the Dalai Lama gave this teaching like about a week each time. 2013 was a Dehu monastery in South India. And then the 14 Ganden monastery in South India. And then the 15 Sera monastery in South India. And then the 15 was a Taishilumbu monastery, another great monasteries. So over 4 years time, His Holiness gave the whole teaching of the Lamrim, the mind training, the great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment. There are 18, it's known as the 8, what is that? Lamrim, teaching get Lamrim teaching Jobge. There are 18 different, commentaries of the, on Lamrim, on the, path to enlightenment. So this must be available online. So if you are taking advantage of, when you have time, you search the great Lamrim teaching by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Devon, Ganden, Sarah, and Tashinombo. And if you have time, that will be the best thing to do, best thing to listen, and give some thought on it. And that the translation on English is available there, all of them. And so what I was saying, yeah. So the main take away from this story about Atisha, and then the two, and the Tibetan king, and then his nephew. So they sacrificed a lot to bring this teaching to Tibet. So if they haven't put this, effort, now I don't know what kind of situation would be. So because of their kindness, because of their effort, because of their, hardship. So nowadays, all Islamic teachings are available for us. And it's so many people, so many beings have benefited from it. And just reading the biography of Master Atisha and then Lama Tsongkhapa and His Holiness Dalai Lama. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama also emphasized a lot on the study of the Lamrim and how to apply these teachings to our in a daily life. And the Wenjung Tumbe Namtar Jeju Dujinyamen. So the past great masters biography. It's the main kind of Jeju Duja the what is that? Jeju Dujinyamen. The followers of the later followers, like a real experience, real practice, meaning those past masters' legacy, the past master life and legacy, it's something that we can adapt. It's something that we can, apply into our own practice. Using them as our role model, and we follow them. So, for example, the king, the Tibetan king, who was like quite old, 70s, 80s at that time, and he sees that there's some declining the Buddha's teachings happening in Tibet, which is a source of happiness and the peace for all of us, all beings, no matter whether Tibetan, Chinese, Westerner, Indian, whatever, we all need happy and peace, right? And then Lamrim is the path that really lead, really lead toward that goal. So, this is something really, 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 really fortunate, very, very priceless teaching that we have got in our hand right now here. And learning this, their biography and their legacies, their teachings, and it will really help. Okay, so I would right. When checking on the outline, how knowing many texts see gain the good qualities of scripture. So I don't think we can go one by one, but Master Atisha, okay, I'll share another thing here. Master Atisha, from very young age, he was very sharp-minded, very kind, compassionate person, and he have the vision many Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And he was also okay. Maybe it's good. It's okay to say he was from very young age. He was actually great tantric practitioner, Buddhist tantric practitioner. This is something important. I found it really unique. And but the later, and he become a monk. There's one important things here because he was prince. He was the second son of that kingdom,
Kishima,
and his parents were
just
actually
interrupt for
yes.
one moment. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
I just think the class time is actually up already. Maybe could we continue with the story
Oh.
next week? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we only have 90 minutes.
The class time is.
Yeah, it's 90 minutes.
We have already that time. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
7:30
So
to 9 p.m. Yeah.
it's 7:30 to 9. It's already 9. That's right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So shall we stop?
Yes, it's best to keep schedule. Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so the story it's really what do you call it? Like a influential story. It's a inspirational story. It's a pretty good story to share. So if it help, good. If not, still we enjoy together to listening and sharing some stories. All right. So thank you so much for hosting this teaching, learning together, and so let's mentally dedicate the virtuous action or that we have created together for the benefit of all beings to bring about peace, compassion, and harmonies in society, and to dedicate that to His Holiness the Dalai Lama and many of the other enlightened beings. All the spiritual teachers live long and prevail their noble activities so that we all can enjoy the compassion, harmonies, and friendship. Sanjo Samjo Rinpoche, Makia Panam Kikyo Chikiwa Namba, Mibana Kono Kondo Tewa Show. Yanda Tawa Rinpoche, Makia Panam Kikyo Chikiwa Namba, Mibana Kono Kondo Tewa Show. Jababa Chitra Kembana Kundo Zambo, the addition to the Kunji Daluch, Gewandi Datam Geraldo. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gishima. Thank you.
Thank you, Gishima.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
So good to see you all. Bye-bye.
Great to see you again.
So enjoy the tea there,
Yeah.
or how's the weather now?
It's starting to get warm a little bit. It's been cold winter. Cold winter. Yeah.
I see. It's getting hot here. I'm in the low nunnery.
Oh, right.
All right.